Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We are about to start the event in 3 minutes. So I like to encourage all of you to get yourself an interpretation device because some of the sessions will be in English and some of them are conducted in Mandarin. So since we have two very talented professional interpreters with us today, to make sure that you are fully engaged in all of the sessions, you can go to the front desk, leave a photo ID, and then get yourself a nice pair of interpretation device. Thank you very much. 好，各位先生、各位女士，我们今天的正式活动将于10:15开始。那现在还有3分钟的时间，所以在这边呢，我想要提醒大家，待会可以依序就座，然后呢，把你的手机关为震动或者是勿扰。那同时间，因为今天的议程有一些部分是用中文进行，有一些是用英文进行。我们今天在场有2位非常专业的口译员为大家服务，所以我也想要提醒大家，可以趁现在这个时间还有3分钟，到我们的服务台留下你的证件，然后来换取口译机。那这样子，待会不管任何的讲者上台，你们都可以充分完整的接收到讲者的资讯。 位先生、各位女士，大家早安！欢迎大家来到台北的松烟文创园区。我是今天的主持人，很高兴能够在这边为大家服务。Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to Songshan Cultural Park in Taipei. To those of you who are not based here, I'd like to welcome you to one of my favorite places in Taipei. This is one of the most enjoyable venues for you to meet exciting people, talk about exciting things. 那台北市的松山园区是一个非常适合办这些创新活动的地方。我们也非常欢迎大家今天来到这里，可以遇到很多有趣的人，讨论很多有趣的事情。So this is the first time for Funding the Commons to come to Taiwan, and we are particularly excited to be here to meet all of you, and then to listen to all of the inspiring speakers from home and abroad. 这是 Funding the Commons 第一次来到台湾，也是我们第一次主办资助公共财的国际论坛。所以今天呢，我们很高兴有非常多的讲者远道而来，来到了台湾，特地为了这次的论坛来跟大家谈谈各种非常有趣的事情。那当然，像这样子盛大的活动呢，背后有非常多人辛勤努力的不断的付出。据我所知，我们的工作人员还有主办单位已经1个月几乎是不眠不休了。所以呢，很高兴我有这个殊荣，可以等一下介绍我们的3位主办单位代表成员上台。So it's very difficult, very challenging to bring this international forum to Taiwan, and this cannot be made possible without the joint effort of all of the working staff behind the scenes. It gives me a great privilege to have the key people on the stage to introduce to you the event and the speakers. 所以现在呢，很高兴的，我要邀请我们在台湾的2位主办人员，也就是 Vivian 和 Noah 上台，由他们来为大家介绍 Funding the Commons. Now please welcome Vivian Chen and Noah Ye.
Just so you guys know, we did not rehearse this at all.
At all.
We spent the whole time unpacking swags and all.
So I don't really know what we're talking about, but it's basically a quick introduction on why we're doing this and why in Taipei and what we're gonna do.
Yeah, and also take a bag of swags in the
Yeah,
back.
Noah spent the whole morning just packing all the
doing
swags. Make sure to take it.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm Vivian. This is Noah. We are gonna do an introduction, I guess,
Yeah.
just to welcome you guys to Funding the Commons Taipei. Can I? 我可以换那个页吗？有吗？ Cool. So this is actually the 8th edition of Funding the Commons, and this year Funding the Commons is cooperating with DAO Zero, which is the organization we're contributing to, and also Taipei. And we have like our partners from Taipei here. Please also give them a round of applause. They've been like really huge help for us, helping us set up all the venues and everything. Really helpful.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, sure. It's not working. Cool. So the story starts a year ago in New York. You want to tell the story?
So this is the 1000th time that we told the story. But basically, last June 2022, there was a Funding Commons in New York. And it was being hosted in a very beautiful venue, which is the Historic Museum.
Like Science and History Museum.
Science and Historic Museum. And we basically, Vivian got up and talked about GovZero at the event. I was there talking about design thinking about impact and stuff. So we connected there. And this is what Funding the Commons is for. Funding the Commons brings together like-minded people who care about impact, who think there can be alternatives in our society, alternative mechanisms that we can drive the society in a more altruistic future in a way. So this is, we really do encourage everyone to talk to the people next to you because they can be an expert in impact in a lot of different things. And maybe there will be a Funding the Commons, big or small, in somewhere in the future next year too.
Yeah, so we originally didn't know each other, and we met in New York and decided that we want to do something together. And that's something started as like wanting to bring founding commons to Taiwan, but eventually becomes DAO Zero, which is the like really relatively huge civic tech
Relatively huge.
community, relatively huge civic tech communities with over 20, 30 like core contributors actively contributing to build public goods. So something good can really come out of a conference like this. Just connecting with people is it's just amazing.
Yeah, and thank you guys for coming. This is a dream come true for both of us. And thank all our partners at Funding Commons, at Proco Labs. This has been a blast.
Yeah, I think we have actually a lot of slides.
We
Yeah.
do. Okay.
This is not the only slides. So what did we expand to? Do you want to go over this?
Yeah, so DAO Zero is basically this community. We do a lot of different things. We explore a lot of different directions. We are working, some of us are working, BVN hosted an event, which is Plurality Taipei. We invited Audrey Tang, Minister of Digital Affairs. We invited Vitalik to that event. We talked a lot about how plurality can bring the society forward. We work on the plurality book. We're working on the decentralized ID system experimentation for Taiwan, where Frank somewhere is doing DAO research. We're doing a lot of hyperspace experiments with various different organizations, including GovZero and other in education, in journalism, in a lot of different areas. And we also, of course, Funding Commons. And on December 17th, we'll also have a DAO Taipei, which all the DAOs in Taiwan comes together and discuss what the narratives of DAOs in Asia are all about. And there are, of course, research, studies, podcasts that we're doing. But yeah, we're definitely trying to push the public space area forward.
So we only started with public goods, and this is what we end up with. All these different topic and area that we expand to. So it's just it's incredible how a single connection in New York can actually expand into something like this.
Yeah, this is what decentralized organization is about, right? It's about exploration. So we go a lot of different directions with a lot of good friends, good connections, then things happen, basically.
We have actually
I
plenty
always
of slides.
forget I have this.
A few announcements. I can do this. So we actually have a workshop stage over there. This is the main stage, so there's gonna be the full day agenda here. And starting 11:30, we will have like different events over there at the workshop space. So feel free to also like participate in a more interactive session if you want to actually discuss stuff with people. And we also have a hyper search experience area over there, which someone have already seen. There's like a few people riding bikes. That bike actually generates power, generates energy. So it's like if you ride the bike, you kind of contribute to like the event. So we will help you, like give you a hyper search, basically rewarding you for your good work at the event. And also, we are cooperating really closely with Taipei Blockchain Week, which one of the hosts is here, Jackie. I'm not sure why I'm shouting out to you, but Taipei Blockchain Week will be on the 11th to 16th. So feel free to also attend Taipei Blockchain Week right after Funding the Commons. Lunch will be served at 12, and I'm sorry that we're not providing Wi-Fi for like most of the attendees because we're actually doing live stream here. So just to make it like relatively more stable, that's like where we're not doing that. So this is the venue, and basically you can see the agenda that's just scanning the QR code here. But if you you can also like find go online, search fundingcommons.io and see the agenda on the Taipei event page. And also we have an agenda printed over there. So if you ever wonder what's happening around main stage and also the workshop space, just go around these places and check out. And here is the agenda of the first day. Today we have a really packed day, having people talking about like traditional funding mechanism, like social impact bound, and also how it combines with new technology, becoming hypersearch, and all these different techniques, all these different technologies that we will be introducing today. So look forward to all the speakers. I know some of you have already arrived. Really excited about all of your talks. It's gonna be a lot of public goods funding mechanism and also like different ideas and philosophy around just building an ecosystem for good.
That's for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Cool. And this?
So on the outside, if you go outside, turn left, there's also an exhibition over there that in collaboration with Moda, we do have a couple of showcases, which is the decentralized ID solution. It will be there. There will be DAO research that we are working on. There will be RPGF. So do check that site out. That's just right around the corner outside.
And I know there's like a lot happening in the venue, like in general, the park right now. But feel free to just like stay here for all the amazing agenda, and also go check out the exhibition over there. These are like two of our major efforts in the past couple of months.
Totally.
And we would like, last but not least, say thank you to all of our sponsors and partners: Protocol Labs, Octon, Gitcoin, Startup Island, Taiwan, Numbers Protocol, Empower IP, and Drips and Hyperson, and also Astrofitter. Thank you all for supporting us and making this happen. Thank you. Is that it? Is there the next slide?
I think that's
yes,
it.
that's it.
Yes.
Thank you again for bearing with our. No, we were just like not prepared.
Yeah, I think we'll have David up next. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think they're just being too humble, and that's an Asian tradition for them to say that they're unprepared. As you can see, that we're having two very intense and very informative, and like what they said, two packed days over the weekend. And this cannot be possible without the collaboration between DAO Zero and Funding the Commons. 我想刚刚的两位主办人呢，他们真的是太客气了。那我觉得这是一个亚洲人的传统，就是大家讲话都会很客气。他们刚刚说啊，自己没有准备得很充分啊，但是大家来到现场，看到这么充实的议程，然后看到我们这边有这么多完整的展示，然后外面也还有展览，另外还有工作坊，那大家都可以知道，这想必是背后非常多共同的努力才有办法促成的。那我们也很感激 DAO Zero 临时到，还有 Funding the Commons 这一次呢一起来促成这个活动。所以接下来我要为大家介绍的是 Funding the Commons 的 Executive Director， 他来跟大家讲一讲 Funding the Commons 是一个什么样子的活动，让大家更了解 Funding the Commons 过去的历史、现在的脉络以及未来的各种展望。So like I said earlier, this cannot be possible without the collaboration between DAO Zero and Funding the Commons. So without further ado, let me introduce the Executive Director of Funding the Commons. Please welcome Mr. David Cassie.
Testing. All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. And thank you for making it out here to be with us. And yeah, I really want to say thank you to DAO Zero, to Taipei, and to all the other supporters here locally in Taipei who made this happen, because without you all, it would never have happened. So thank you. So I will give a little brief history today and context of Funding the Commons. Little help here. There we go. So we have been doing these conferences around the world since 2021. How many of you have been to a previous Funding the Commons before? Okay, about a third, a quarter. Nice. All right, so a lot of new people. And yeah, Vivian and Noah met at a Funding the Commons New York, and I think it's so cool to see full circle that this is happening now, kind of as a from the seed of their meeting at another event in another country. So we've been doing these events for 2 years now, and we connect together the public sector, academia, Web3, and philanthropy. And really what we're doing is bridging these communities to innovate in how do we fund public goods and commons more effectively. All right. So what are we focused on? For 2 years, we've been running conferences and bringing together the community. Next slide. And now we are looking at how to create an incubation ecosystem for building and testing and prototyping and deploying public goods funding infrastructure. And this involves academics doing cutting edge research. It involves people from the public sector that are interested in experimenting and trying out new things. It involves builders and developers of open source software, and it involves protocols that are deploying these technologies in real open source communities where hundreds and thousands of developers are more and more being funded through public goods funding rather than through traditional means like venture to create new technology. So in addition to conferences this year, we've expanded into running hackathons, running developer residencies, in-person co-living experiences, and facilitating working groups. What's been happening so far this year in 2023? So the first conference of the year was in Paris at Sorbonne University. We did one in Berlin as well, together with the DeSci Berlin team. And we ran a month-long developer residency, which was a really interesting experiment, and we're still seeing the results come out of what happens when you put 40 developers and builders and innovators in a building together for a month. All right, so what's next? We will have our next conference after this one in the San Francisco Bay Area in April 2024, where we will be bridging the artificial intelligence community and the traditional Web 2 open source communities into the Funding the Commons community. And we will have another conference later in 2024 concurrent to Ethereum's DevCon, and that will be nearby in Southeast Asia. We're not exactly sure where yet, but we suspect Vietnam or Thailand. All right, so yeah, that's San Francisco. That's where I'm from. So we invite you all to come out in April. And stay tuned about our announcement for Funding the Commons Southeast Asia. We will run another developer residency next year, so get in touch with us if you're interested in being a part of this and building together with other open source developers. These are some other ways you can get involved. We have speaking slots at future conferences. You can volunteer. We're open to sponsors. And we are always wanting to meet developers building open source technology for public goods. And we do have grants available, so we're open to ideas and proposals. So get in touch with us. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, David. 好，我们非常谢谢 Funding the Commons 的 Executive Director 为我们介绍了 Funding the Commons 未来的蓝图。那我相信大家也看到了，就是他们说2024要去东南亚，但地点还没有决定。总而言之，我们是亚洲的第一站，请大家欢呼一下。好，那除了今天在台北，这是 Funding the Commons 来到亚洲的第一站之外呢，这也是 Funding the Commons 首度得到地方政府大力的支持来举办我们的活动，所以我们今天非常开心邀请到了台北市政府的长官来到我们的现场。So, David just said Funding the Commons is going to Southeast Asia in 2024, but he's still unsure if the next stop is Vietnam or Thailand. Whatever. We are the first stop in Asia, so that's why we just cheered a little bit. Besides that, this is also the first time for the Funding the Commons to receive great support, significant support from the local government. So we are really happy and very excited today to have a representative from the Taipei City government to speak with us today. 所以请大家以热烈的掌声和我一起来欢迎台北市政府游世明副秘书长。Now please welcome the Deputy Secretary General of Taipei City Government.
Hello. Thank you for the introduction. And our Executive Director, David Cassie from Funding the Commons, 我们台北市产业局陈俊安局长 ，Director of Department of Industry Development, Taipei City Government. 那我们的 Organizer DAO Zero, Noah Ye, Vivian Chen, and also the organizer Taipei, right? Taiwan Association, Blockchain Ecosystem Innovation. Our consultant, Nicole, and our chairperson, Cal, and Taipei Expo Foundation Deputy, Chen Wensuo, and all our blockchain lovers, all the investors, all the academic, philanthropists, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you. I'm so honored to represent Taipei City Mayor Wang Zhang to come to the grand opening ceremony of founding the Commons in Taipei. And as we know, that founding the Commons, very famous activity event from Proto Lab, has already hosted a lot of events such as New York, Bogota, Lisbon, and Paris, and Berlin, virtually all over the world. I'm so happy to realize that it's the first time for founding a common reach out to Asian country. And so Taipei is the top choice for everyone to come here. This is why we're very happy to be the sponsor. So basically, our director, Chen Junan, he sponsored a lot for this event. And for the commons, all the public goods, such as the air, water, and the sunshine. Today is a shiny day, right? And all the public goods, such as public infrastructure, all the transportation and education are integral part for our daily life. And also quite important, related to digital governance and a smart city, that the Taipei city government wanted to provide this kind of service. And also for the blockchain technology, it's quite important for the blockchain, the hackathon, to show the great impact and the influence to our society, to our commons ecosystem, to show and to approve and get the hyper search to better influence our whole society through this kind of decentralization. And by the way, that you know, our city mayor Wang Zhang, he once served the lawyer for the startup company in Silicon Valley. So he also like to come here today, but unfortunately, his mission go to southern Taiwan. But he will come next week for our blockchain week. And I want to give you one example, that under the leadership of our Taipei City Mayor and also our director, Chen Junan, we want to encourage all the startups in Taipei. For example, for the past years, we have already subsidized more than 2,000 cases with more than 2 billion new Taiwan dollars. And this year, we have new so-called new startup 3 arrows, such as fundraising, such as talented gathering, such as the procurement, marketing, because we want to invite more and more new idea, new startup with new program to apply, and we are willing to give all this kind of support. 那这部分很重要，所以我再用中文稍微讲一下，就是蒋市长其实非常重视，就是新创。那他今天因为南部有行程，不能亲自过来，不过他下周就是区块链周呢，他会到场。那当然，像公共财这个领域非常重要，尤其像我们市政府就是要提供各类的公共财的一个服务。那在新创的部分呢，其实产业发展局陈俊安局长这边，我们过去几年呢，也已经大概有资助了2000多件，大概价值20多亿的一个资金。那还有所谓的新创3件，包括投资金、汇人才，还有促成交。我们就是希望有更多的想法的一些这个，不管是我们的新创，或者说我们的黑客松，那一起来让我们的台湾变得更好。So, for the ending, once again, I would like to appreciate for the Dow Zero and Taipei founding the Commons the first time to held in Taipei, and I wish the great success for the 2 days event and the following workshop in our blockchain week. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome and the significant support for the two-day event. 我们非常谢谢台北市政府的副秘书长给我们这样子的大力支持。除此之外呢，我们还有一个要非常感谢的对象，也就是台湾区块链爱好者协会。今天呢，我们非常高兴，台湾区块链爱好者协会的詹婷怡荣誉理事长也来到了现场。所以接下来呢，我们要邀请的是 Nicole Zhang. She is the honorable chairperson at Taiwan Association for Blockchain Ecosystem Innovation Taipei. 所以现在呢，就请大家以热烈的掌声欢迎 Nicole。
Okay, good morning, everyone, including David, Noah, and Vivian, and Taka. I'm Nicole Chen. I'm the former chairperson of National Communications Commission. I'm the former minister, and right now I'm the honorary chairperson of Taipei. So today, thank you for having me here, and I would like to use a few minutes to share some thoughts about decentralizing, demonstrating, and democratizing ESG. I think that's a very important topic, and I think that will be a potential usage, important usage about blockchain, especially during this time. Right now, the COP28 is in Dubai right now. So SDG development. In 2015, the United Nations released Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development as a guiding framework. This agenda focuses on critical connection among people, the planet, the prosperity, peace, and partnerships to foster the global unity and introduce the sustainable development goals, which are SDGs, comprising 17 core goals and 169 specified targets. So hundreds of indicators have since been established to measure progress. Environmental sustainability governance encompassing ESG has become an all-encompassing issue for domestic and international enterprise. Taiwan's Financial Supervisory Commission has collaborated with the financial and the capital markets to declare blueprints, including construction and ESG ecosystem. Meanwhile, apart from the leading slides taken by the European Union, Taiwan's National Development Council also announced the 2050 Net Zero Carbon Pathway Plan. The trend towards decentralization of public goods. However, the current ESG landscape faces challenges of unreliable data, opaque funding, relatively inefficient operation, and etc. The decentralized nature of blockchain aligns with the need to aggregate collective intelligence to optimize consensus, which regulatory standards are yet to be fully clarified. It represents the best approach to form standards from the group up, the bottom up, aiming to initiate a conference that sparks further discussion and builds an equitable and mutually beneficial platform for all. We can say that the ESG digital transformation wave is looming, with blockchain technology acting as a catalyst to drive the integration of ESG and the digital transformation. Beyond its intensive applications in the metaverse and the decentralized finance, blockchain is poised to become the next frontier in the Web3 new economy, particularly in the decentralization of public goods. What is DESG? We can see some cases which include kind of investment by corporate enterprise, empowered execution of charitable actions, and subsequent certification of sustainable benefits by third-party organizations, create a sustainable and traceable impact ecosystem. Blockchain can meet the needs of ESG through its capability in fulfilling the requirements of 3T, which are trust, transparency, traceability, and MRV, which are measurement, reporting, and verification. To promote the concept and the value application of DESG to more individuals and organizations, Taipei has launched the Taiwan Decentralized Sustainable Development Alliance, named DESG, in September 2022, and also organized the Decentralized Sustainable Development Forum 2022 and 2023. Why and how do we do it? The DESG concept leverages core technological concepts to advocate the blockchain 3T characteristics supporting ESG's requirement for measurement, reporting, and verification, ensuring the trusted dissemination of ESG information. Blockchain's essential 3T characteristic, trust. Immutable ledger records ensure data credibility after being uploaded. Transparency. Open accessibility of information after being uploaded ensure transparency. Traceability. Retention of records on the chain allows for tracking and tracing. So ESG requires long-term monitoring of sustainable impact, utilizing real-time tracking and certification. And the ESG reports by enterprise need to be adhered to MRV, indicators to establish the digital trust. Take Green Empower Lab, which is comprised of Good Point Exchange and the National Taiwan University. The team is right now in Dubai to share the experience. As an example, the 3 arrows of urban net zero governance: green trust material, green empower model, green pass, and the green certs, aimed global trends in sustainable development and the net zero transformation, focusing on the SDGs. They advocate for blockchain 3T and ESG MRV mechanism. DESG focuses on impact certification, sustainable financial investment, and ESG solution and the case analysis, such as blockchain plus DESG, and hypercerts and the BNS attestation, how they assist in low carbon tracing. For instance, if a company commits to planting 100,000 trees in the next 10 years, they can obtain philanthropic certification on hypercerts. When the trees are actually planted, they can acquire tree planted NFTs, and the record the fulfilling commitments will be written on the blockchain. Through workshop and case sharing, we content and discuss to the impact and assistance of blockchain, decentralization in transparency, trust, and traceability on sustainable development. By collectively establishing sustainable use cases for Taiwan through workshop among blockchain enthusiasts and replicating, diffusion, and transferring paradigms, more Taiwanese enterprise and the Sustainable Development Organization can join. New word. In the era of Web3, with new technologies comes the need for innovative approaches. Of course, the adoption of these technological applications requires time and case validation. Adopting a decentralized structure could be one of the potential solutions. Our continuous collaboration and effort aim for a collectively better future. So our aspirations include, first, of course, to empower Taiwanese enterprise with more impactful outcomes through additional public open source tools like HyperSearch. And the second, to combine resources and energies from partners like Protocol Labs, the Funding the Commons, and DAO Zero, to create and establish a validated field for green influence. That's all. Thank you for your attention.
非常谢谢 Nico， 请 Nico 在台上留步，麻烦你稍等一下，因为我们接下来拍一张大合照，我马上就请几位贵宾跟你一起上台。所以首先呢，我们要欢迎的是台北市政府由副秘书长上台，加入我们等一下的大合照。第二位我们要邀请到是 David，Would you join them on the stage for a group photo？ 好，第三位邀请到的是台北市产业局陈俊安局长，请陈俊安局长上来。Noah and Vivian 也要邀请你们一起上到台上来。还有台湾区块链爱好者协会的 Taka 理事长，请你们一起上台。好，接下来呢，我们要请摄影师准备好，来为我们拍一张大合照。也欢迎市府小编今天把这张大合照加上 #FTC Taipei。好，那请大家一起看着我们正前方的摄影师，这个我们要请这位穿着红背心的大叔先让我们的官方摄影师来捕捉一下这个重要的时刻。那当然了，台下有任何一位如果想要拍大合照的话，也欢迎拿起你们手机来记录这一刻。那我们最主要呢，就是要谢谢这么多的相关单位一起大力的促成了这一次非常重要的国际公共财论坛。请问一下，我们的摄影师都准备好了吗？我们还要好要比赞吗？好的，来 thumbs up. That is a Taiwan tradition for group photos in all kinds of venues and forums and events. That's great. 好，那现在呢，请大家先回座，我们还要再继续拍一张大合照，是我们要请摄影师上台来拍全场跟观众的大合照。Now I would like I'd like to invite you to return to your seats. We're taking another group photo from the stage. So our photographer will come to the stage and then they're going to take a group photo of all of us.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone from Taipei city government and all of the officials and dignitaries that have joined us today, and really wanted to thank you for your support and your openness to this movement and new technologies and seeing how we can make a better world using blockchain and using Web3. So thank you, really an honor to, it's been a goal. It's been a goal for a long time of funding the commons to work directly with public sector. So that's an aspiration. This is a first step. So thank you again. Again.
好，那我们刚刚呢 ，Funding the Commons Executive Director 特别想要感谢台北市政府的代表。这一次呢，我们看到台北市政府以非常开明的态度来接受 Web3 还有区块链的技术。那这也是在链圈大家长期以来努力的一个目标。非常希望我们的所有议题都可以被公部门所接受，所以这次特别开心。好，那现在呢，请大家听我们摄影师的指挥，摄影师要拍一张全场的大合照。Now we're going to take a group photo with everyone in the photo. Oh, so we're seeing some voids here. Can we have people on the sides to come here? We want to see a packed audience. We want to see a full house. So move your chairs. I want to rhyme here. Okay, move your chairs, move yourselves. And then I need some people in the gap here. So may I have some people to fill the gap here? 我们呢希望拍一张很满的照片，我们摄影师会想办法把这个照片拍的就是很热闹，所以请大家填满中间的这条走道好吗？ As you can see, there's a gap. Right. So come here, come to the center. That's great. 好，这样。You're doing a great job. Good. I like the audience. You're really nice to work with. Okay. A few more. 你让他们干嘛？比爱心举手。
thing that we do. Yeah. So your right hand and cross it on your face. Yes. Your right hand. Yeah. It's not.
You're a very smart crowd. You know how to slash in the same way. No one is doing backslash. Good job. 那我们就不要站了，好不好 ？Yeah, yeah. 你要谁站起来？Okay, can people in the last two rows stand up a little bit so that you are not blocked? 我们要请最后2排的观众站起来好吗？因为对 that's right, that's right, very good. Right, we want you to stand up so that you are not blocked. Okay, now do the slash again. Dial 0 slash. Perfect. Okay, one more short video. I know. Because this is really important and then we want you to have fun. Make some noise.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, okay.
How about I love Taipei? Say I love Taipei. Very good. That's very good. Now, the official event can start. Now I would like to have the first speaker on the stage. 我们接下来呢，正式的议程就要开始了。那等一下会有非常多精彩的简报，还有论坛。那首先呢，让我欢迎我们的第一位讲者，也是国立中山大学财务管理学系的郑毅副教授。我们要邀请郑毅副教授来到台上，跟我们聊一聊 Social Impact Bond and its funding mechanism。首先呢，我们的第一位讲者就是 Associate Professor 郑毅 at National Sun Yat-sen University. He is talking about social impact bond and its funding mechanism. Ladies and gentlemen, now please welcome our first keynote speaker, Professor Zheng Yi.
Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Yi. I'm in finance. Like, kind of odd to be here. But actually, whatever we do, we need money. And the money comes from different sources and in different ways. Now, I try to explain what we can do with my background in finance, how to get more money to prepare the advancement of various social and environmental issues. Okay, as we know, funding options for public issues can go from the left, very traditional way of giving money, and then moving to the right until we do donations. However, in the middle, there's a big gap. The gap is whether we can do from traditional, moving to be responsible, sustainable, then impact investing. Talking about the term impact, we have 2 S for you, for people who are not so familiar with. So the first S is sustainable. We need to do things that will last long and strong. And then the second S is scalable. We want it to grow and we want to replicate everything and we want to expand the coverage in terms of geographical locations, different group of people, etc. So those two assets will be essential for our sharing from now on. And impact investing is that we can use different means to do impact. First thing is that we want to identify the organizations doing a very good job in each and every of their specific area. There could be people doing social issues, could be environmental, could be for dropout students from high school, could be for young kids, could be for youth employment, could be for elderly care. And that is very important because each of the specific issue I mentioned will require very devoted, dedicated effort, and with each of their expertise. It's usually taking people 5, 10, or even more years to be very good, very experienced, and deliver very good performance in the area they do. So it's not easy. However, we don't expect people to start from scratch. I want to do some youth employment. I want to do some elderly care. It doesn't work at all. So I'll first identify the good organizations, good group of people doing that. And then what? We like to give them money, give them human capital, give them technology, and etc. So that's the way we will focus on impact investing, and moving forward, impact first investing, we would like to identify a good source of money that be dedicated in this specific issue, and then venture, philanthropy, and donations. So, as you can see, that there are 4 major participants in the loop. First one, starting from investors. Why they want to give money to what we care, we are concerned about. That's because we have a very philanthropic heart. We are heart-touching to devote our effort and money particularly to each of the issues we are concerned about. And we need people to do things. So that's the service provider. As I explained earlier, we want to identify the good performance. And then the service recipients. When we have successful results, the government will be the end payer. That's the usual way, going without the investors from the private. However, here for talking about social impact bond, we'll do 3 concepts. First one, they pay for success. In the past, we do a lot of projects. Government is giving the money. However, they look at the KPIs. KPI doesn't guarantee success. But right now, in order to attract private money into this game, we want the private investors. They are mostly project success driven. We want to see good results. That's why pay for success is the top 1 priority. And it's not easy. Whenever we do something, what is the definition of success? We need to ask this. For example, what is the success if we talked about youth employment? What is the success if we talked about elderly long-term care? What is success when we talked about environmental or forest protection? What is that definition? When we have that definition, it's usually in 1 sentence, not to make it very rhetoric, not too lengthy statement. 1 short, clear definition of success. That's the key. If we get this success, then we can have a good communication among this group of people. Everybody agrees on what is success. Then move together toward that goal. Second one is private-public partnership. In the past, the government is driving everything. However, the private sector is very experienced in doing all different kinds of work. Now, we like this two to work together. The private money comes first. Do the work, hire the organizations doing good job. Then deliver service, and if proven successful, then the government will be the end payer paying out at the end. And third, multi-stakeholders partnership. Here, the service providers, they are not doing the work all alone. Whenever necessary, they will invite the consultants, outside helps to participate, to join force into the process. That is the numbers. 2023 issuance of social linked bonds, that is bond. We have a very big number, 36 billion USD, and SIB, the social impact bond, accounts for 500 million. That is substantially lower because that's the first launch of SIB in the UK in 2010, about 13 years ago. Now, years pass. We have currently 253 SIBs in 40 countries, covering many different issues, including social and environmental. Now, we have different names for the PFS, Pay for Success. The most traditional, the original one, works like this. The investors, they pay first, and they hire the service providers, and there will be beneficiary. When the success that is set up upfront is reached, then the government, the end payer, will pay the money. So private pay first, people do the work, then public, the government, will pay at the end. That is a reverse of the process we all know. And the important thing is there will be an intermediary. We need people to be in the center, like a project manager, something like that, to drive this thing along. Now, the next model comes from the very original one. That is the social impact guarantee. This being seen in Singapore, there's a team of people that's tri-sector. They do it differently because for some of the government or public sector, they are not used to pay at the end. They will say, there are many considerations. What if my party doesn't win? My promise may not be realized, and many different other considerations. So the public, the government will pay upfront. And what if the success wasn't reached? Then the guarantor, the people originally said, I would devote my money and time into this project. They will provide guarantee if it's not successful. So this goes other way around. And that's a very good innovation as we see it. And then the third type is social impact amplifier, because for this type of project to run, it usually will have high overhead. It takes a lot of time, and the negotiation and the contracting. Other than this, there are still other hurdles to overcome. So therefore, we need, as long as there's one successful project, then why don't we run the second run, do the third, etc. So that is why the name amplifier. So in this way, we have SIB, SIG, SIA, and on top of this, there's SIF, a fund. The fund sole purpose is to give money to various SIB, SIA, etc. So with this kind of innovation, it is better connect the social money. There's a huge amount of private money. And there are people with good heart, they want to devote their money into solving social and environmental issues altogether. Therefore, a good partnership between the private and partner and the public is achieved. And what can we do? Think about this. We have different issues and we have very different technology background. I've been promoting this, guess how many years? 9 years. And we are still here without one single project of SIB in Taiwan. So I think I better switch track, come to you guys. And probably we together can achieve something much better, much quicker, and with high impact. That's why you see a very strange guy coming, standing in front of you, talking about this kind of stuff. So, you are more familiar with the procedures. It comes from one, what issue we are concerned about, what issue. So we can do all kinds of things to come up with good issues. That is one. Second, then we can have a good definition, a clear goal to achieve. That's success. If we define nicely success, then we probably can get good amount of money. The amount of money we're talking about will range from the community-based, that is small amount of money, like 300,000-500,000. That is okay, USD. Or sometimes, if we want a bigger, much bigger project, then we are talking about 300-500 million USD. That's a wider coverage. So either way, it's a small amount of money or bigger community or a wider range of people, we can all use either SIB or community-based IB. And we also have the smart SIB, tokenizing SIB, and this is with higher divisibility for splitting complex contracts into smaller ones. And you are a much better expert than I am in covering this kind of things. So at the end, what I'm saying is that we should join force and try to make things happen, either for social or for environmental. Whatever issue people are concerned about, let us know. And then we'll define success and then get the money with transparency, decentralized, and tractable features to make the world a better place. Thank you.
谢谢副教授为我们带来精彩的演讲，让我们更清楚的知道 Social Impact Bond 要怎么样子来执行和落实。那接下来呢，我们要邀请的下一位讲者是刘维仁。刘维仁是 DAO Zero 零时道的非常重要的贡献者。那他接下来要为我们讲的主题呢是 How to build digital public goods with the public。所以接下来，我们的讲者在哪里呢？哦，嗨，好，那。 来，请你拿麦克风。好，请大家跟我一起热烈的掌声欢迎我们的第二位 keynote speaker。那 please welcome our second keynote speaker 刘维仁。
大家好，非常有荣幸能够来这边讲这个主题。刚刚郑毅老师讲的非常专业哈，那我们就是用一种比较素人研究者的角度来讲这件事情。OK， 首先像刚刚大家会来这边这个 Funding Commons 当然就是对于 Public Good 非常有兴趣。那其中一个很重要当代的要去面对的主题就是数位公共财。那顾名思义，公共财本身就有2个特色，第一个就是说，它是非排他性，然后非竞争性的，就是说你在使用之后呢，别人还是可以用。那在这个 AI 跟AI 双体不断的前进的情况之下呢，很多数位公共财是比过去更需要的。那其实台湾建造数位公共财的历史呢，相当长。下一张好，对，那来这边的人应该很多人都知道 GovZero，OK？他们就是一群大概从2014、2016以来一直不断的做数位公共财的公民社群，然后借此想要用自己的各种的程式力或者是这个广告力去造成社会的改变。那同时我们也知道说，世界各地的政府呢，都越来越愿意去制度数位公共财。那像刚刚也有长官也讲到的一样，目前的那个无论是中央还是地方的政府都非常的愿意制作这样的东西。但是目前为止呢，这2者之间的这个交集也有许多不同的方式的，像是每年都会举办这个总统级的黑客松，或者说像是今年数位部举办了一个，就是让非常集思广益、各式各样非常的 diverse 的方法去做的一种要公益创新专案100的方式。好，那接下来我们要问的事情是，假设要政府跟民间一起打造数位公共财的话，我们还可以往哪种方向走？我们还可以用哪些的流程，或者是哪些的模型，能够让政府跟民间有更多的合作的可能？好，首先我们其实我们是一个去承接今年数位部所开设的一个研究案，好，所以想要知道说怎么样的流程可以更促进这样的结合。那我们在研究的时候，先发现一件事情，就是开源社群有一个常见的障碍，就是第一个是他们通常不具备法人身份，然后通常他们不太愿意花太多的时间去写很多的公文或者写很多的报告，他们宁愿把大多的时间放在实际上做事情上面，或者是无论是写 code 啊、收集 data 啊，或者是说 promoting 啊，那这些东西其实跟目前的政府合作呢，常常会遇到很多的障碍。但是我们也可以理解为什么我们在做公共财或者在开案的时候需要符合各式各样的标准，那是因为我们必须能够确保说做出来的数位公共财是能够符合需求，无论是符合政府所做政策的期待，还是符合这个社会上实际的影响力。我们不能说开源社群做了一个公共财之后，我们就说那就是我们要，然后我们就直接采购。所以我们还是会要什么呢？我们还是要像上面的东西，我们需要有一个规格。那我们需要有左边的，就像前面那个曾毅老师讲到的，我们需要有 resource， 然后我们要有右边的人，就是一个没有 builder。所以其实要能够让，无论是今天是私人的还是公家的，你要能够打造出数位公共财的方法，就是要同时满足的3项。那我们在研究的时候发现一件事情，就是其实前面所讲到的，就是开源社群它会不是很容易去做合作的理由，其实很多东西呢是跟定规格的前后顺序，以及我们能不能做出一个 boundary， 然后把重要的 stakeholder 放进来，有很大的关系。为什么呢？大家在这边很多人都可能知道，就是工地悲剧。工地悲剧最常见的就是，今天当是公共财的时候，很容易发生一个现象，就是谁来付钱，谁来维护？使用的人很可能大多数都是不需要去付钱跟维护的人，于是呢，去维护的人，他就变成他的资源不断的投入进去，然后也找不到，就像刚刚郑毅老师讲到一样，我们找不到一个好的方法去让所有人知道说，那我们的 KPI 是什么？于是工地的品质就越来越差。于是，在传统的经济学里面，我们就看到说，好的方法就是我们把它变成私有财，这样就可以把边界划清楚，就知道责任跟权利怎么放了。可是公共财因为它有自由来去的现象，所以我们不能这样做。但是呢，这些东西，下一张。对，这些东西到了原本认为说这个 tragedy of commons 是一个一定会发生的事情，但是呢，到了20世纪后期的时候呢，那个有一些 经济学发现这不一定的，其实世界各地都有能够共同管理公共财的状况存在。那其中有一个学派跟一些学者，那其中最有名的就是 Eleanor Ostrom， 他在2009年得到诺贝尔经济学奖。那非常有趣的事情是，他是经济学奖，但他讨论的就是说，一群人如何在怎么样的条件之下，能够共同的管理公共财，让这个公共财能够继续存续下去，不会碰到前面的就是说没有人来建造、没有人来付钱、没有人来维护的问题。他有一个东西叫做那个 IAD Institutional Analysis of Development， 他根据了一套分析模式去了解说每一个不同的 actor， 它之间会根据怎么样的哪些的特性去做行动跟互动，并且根据这套行动分析模型呢，提出了假设你要把公共财好好治理好啊，不会出现 charity overcommon 的情况，它大概有7到8项，它有不同的版本，这个它到他去世之前都有不同的版本哈，这是其中的一个版本出现。那我们可以看到其中的一个第一项就是你要有一个共同的 boundary， 你要知道说，如果我们是这个公共财它会影响到的人，它总共是哪一些人，我们要先确定这些人，而这些人必须知道我们是属于会一起使用到这个公共财的，无论你今天是环境的公共财，或者是长照的公共财，或者可能像交通的公共财，我们要知道这些是哪一些人。那其中的第4跟第5项也很重要，就是这些人呢必须要能够参与规则的治理，而且要能知道规则长怎么样子，然后这个规则要有一个渐进式但是明确的赏善罚恶系统，渐进式然后明确的赏善罚恶系统 ，OK。这跟我们平常所认为的公共财的，就是说大家就是可以自由进出、我们不知道到底是谁来建造、谁来付钱的状况，是一个非常明确的不同。Ostrom 跟他的研究团队呢，在大概10几年的研究当中，就发现说他去看各种无论是不同的开发程度的社区，或者说是文明，就发现说要符合这些要件的，符合越多的，它就越可能长期，可能维持数年到10数年的情况之下，都能够维持着公共财的建造。那为什么我研究这个东西？就是因为我们要让开源社群能够来建造数位公共财嘛。因为现在已经有很多的就是资讯采购案，啊，就是政府会发包给民间专业资讯厂商去进行采购案。那我们能不能让开源社群也一起来进行呢？那于是呢，那我们就根据了 Ostrom 所提供的这些 guideline 呢，我们就想到最直观的方式就是我们制造一个 boundary，OK， 像前面讲到的3角形里面，无论是规格、然后资源跟建造者，如果我们能够先建造一个 boundary， 让大家知道这3个东西是在这个 boundary 里面，大概会有多少钱，大概会有多少人要一起符合做出怎么样的东西才算是成功，我们成功了我们才配的话，我们可能就可以避免这个问题了。于是呢，这边我会讲比较久一点，这是我们在报告书里面，这是我算倡议书里面写到的一个流程图。好，我直接来讲好了，就是通常我们在那个采购案里面看到的情况呢，就是政府会先根据他要做的政策的期待，然后定了一些要符合的标准，然后根据标准，然后就问说民间有没有任何人能够来符合？那规格的部分是在很下面的时候才会出现的啊，就是政府要先开采购案。那但是这个时候我们常会碰到一个状况，就是政府开规格的人，他不一定对于说，尤其如果是科技，无论是 App 还是 Data， 他可能对于他的这个技术面可能没有那么的熟，或者对于影响面他没有办法花那么多长的时间，毕竟政府也是非常非常的忙的，他没有花那么长的时间去了解到你今天做出一个公共财之后，它的实际影响的效益是怎么样，它影响利害关系有哪一些，这花非常非常多的人力。于是有时候会碰到一种奇怪的现象，就是你已经定了标准规格，然后找到了厂商已经签了约，然后去做下来，做到的结果呢，却变成是只有某一个非常小的，只有那一次性的那个东西是可以使用，日后都变成都不能使用了，或者说可能是跨了一个部会就不能使用，每个部会全部都在做一样的事情，这件事其实蛮荒谬的。那这个的原因就是因为他没有办法在订立规格的时候，先跟各个 stakeholder 先确认一下，先确认我会造成怎么样的影响。 也没有办法先跟 builder 先确认说，我到底能够找来怎么样的人。于是，当然他为了要保险起见，因为毕竟政府是为了大家好，他必须要对人民负责，他就会倾向于用比较传统量化的、比较保守的方式去定这个标准规格。于是有时候，就像前面钟毅老师也有讲到，这样的标准规格是没有办法真正保证 success 的。那怎么办呢？我们能不能既然说我们都知道说我们规格跟影响力要能够对齐，我们能不能把对齐的程序放到上面去呢？就看到这个蓝色框框的那个蓝色框心框框的部分，如果我们能够把 resource 跟policy maker 跟 builder 能够大家先讨论完之后，然后再根据讨论完的东西，先订立一个说我们可能要订立怎么样，而且是怎么样算是 success， 怎么样算是 success， 要符合哪些技术标准，全部都先讲好，才订立采购案的话，会不会好一点呢？这是我们目前的大概订立量的框架。那这个时候，就像刚刚没错，刚刚前面郑毅老师有讲到，这个时候那个平方投票法呢，又可以发挥很好的作用了。今天我们可以有各个不同的 stakeholder， 也可以有各种的不同的 builder， 它可以不同的团队一起来去竞逐一个 task， 然后最后根据同一群人呢，再一起来做 project voting， 然后根据 voting 的方式看到某一个或某2、3个专案是最能够符合这个标准的。那我们就根据这样的 voting 的结果，再建议政府说，也许你可以买这前2个专案或前2个3个专案，或者我们也可以把前2、3个专案，它可能会1+1大于2，我们可以找系统整合商，再把它做出来之后，再让政府采购。那这边有个很好有趣的一点，就是说这是一个那个 RPGF，Retro PGF， 为什么呢？因为其实你今天最后在采购案的时候，这跟原本的采购案的方法是不一样。采购案是你是先开了标准之后，然后大家才来做嘛。这边大家是做到一半的。这是完全符合的，就是像是今天等一下就有人提到就是那个 Hypersearch 组织的那个负责人会来提到说，就是 Hypersearch 所遵循的那个原则，就是我们可以先去做到中间或者做到后面的时候才去 funding， 这样子我们可以确保做出来的我们 funding 的东西是大家认为真的是有用的。但是我们大概这一个建议，我们会非常希望说，接下来无论说是中央或地方，或者是任何一个部会的政府可以去试行，从一个非常非常小，尽量小，尽量明确的无论是 App， 无论是 Data， 去跟开源设计量一起协作，然后再接下来是重点了下一张接下来在各位在这里的同时呢，其实现在在竹北正在举行黑客松，下一张就是这个。然后我的研究伙伴他正在那边举行有2位合作伙伴正在举行这个平方投票。总共呢，我们找了7个平常就会去黑客松的团队那他们有涵盖各式各样的不同公共财主题，有人谈到的是数位民主，有人谈到的是民主韧性，有人谈到的是事实查核，有人谈到的是工厂的环境升级，那有人谈到的是design 就是分散式的科学那这7个团队呢，在等一下我们大概11点多的时候，在右边各位这边各位的左手边的地方会有一个直播，会直播整个黑客松的参与者会以平方投票的方式现场投票，然后我们在下午就会得到结果。那平方投票的优点应该我就不用说太多，就是第一个就是能够避免赢者全拿，以及就是弃保效应的问题。那第二个优点就是能够尽量的让票数是分散，对。那我们这一次我们在做的实验当中我们也会就同样的采用那个 Hypersearch， 因为 Hypersearch 最大的优点就是说它可以让大家在做，无论是做公共财做社会影响力的人，他可以把自己做出来的社会影响力写在一个区块链的 NFT 上面。那只要能够有目前而且他们目前的组织正在去想到一个好的 evaluating 的方法，它是分散式的接下来就是分散式的 evaluating。只要我能够让很多人都知道说你做出来社会影响力是真的，那接下来它就会永久的被所有人所看到。那所做出贡献的人，接下来就会不断的获得更多的社会信任。大概是这个样子。好， 那总之呢，我们会希望说从一个尽量的小而具体的方式结合了就是数位民主，然后 Web3 的不可篡改的优点以及公司协力的合作，然后达成更多人让最后一张对，能够更多人一起来建造数位公共财的一个愿景。那如果说接下来这样的今天我们在所做的是一个非常非常小的实验，如果这样的实验接下来可以run好几个轮的话呢，也许公司协力的那个场合就会变得越来越多。那谢谢大家。
非常谢谢维仁为我们带来精彩的简报。我们刚刚也看到了，台北市确实是一个在数位政策上面非常开明的政府。那刚刚的讲者也跟我们提到说，希望未来在公部门，不管是中央政府、地方政府，都可以从这些小的实验开始，然后呢，让我们知道这些 funding 要如何更有用的，然后应用在我们的生活当中，让我们可以运用这些技术去做到对公部门或是对公共财更好的发展。那接下来呢，我们的下一位讲者是 L， 他远道从德国柏林，昨天才来到台湾，今天克服了时差，要来为大家带来一场非常精实的简报，所以请大家和我以热烈的掌声欢迎我们的下一位 Keynote Speaker L。那 L，this is your stage。欢迎他来跟我们谈一谈 on-chain graphs and funding public good。
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. It's my first time in Taipei. So yeah, really excited to be here. Today, the title of my talk is On-Chain Graphs and Public Goods. Oh, it seems that the slides are just jumping a little bit further ahead. Cool. Okay, let's do this. So I spent the last 15 years studying networks. And the first few years of my career, actually, I was focusing on a very different form of networks. I was focusing on music creation networks, how artists interact with other artists, how new genres of music evolve, and how artists interact with listeners. And then the last 5 years, I've been obsessing with open source software dependencies and the networks that this forms. So graphs really fascinate me. And one of my favorite graphs is this one, actually. So this is coming from the Nix package manager for the software engineers in the room. This runtime and build dependency graph is probably not a surprise for you, but what I really love about this graph is that you see this in software more than anything else. You see how our world is so interconnected and how everything actually depends on everything else. So I really think that this graph reveals a profound truth about our species, and that is that we are all interdependent and our success hinges upon the success of others. So when I started getting involved with Ethereum in 2016, I got really excited about this vision of the world computer. Having this one database with cryptographic primitives, cryptographic identities, programs on chain was something that was really, really exciting for me. I thought that the composability and the transparency of Ethereum would enable killer applications to be built specifically when it comes to public goods. And if you think about this, especially so many years later, Ethereum is a graph, right? And I don't mean it in the technical term that Ethereum is a graph database, but I mean this in a more mathematical term, that Ethereum is kind of like a graph structure where you have accounts, right? Cryptographic entities interacting with other cryptographic entities, and then you have these accounts again interacting with programs, right? That we call them smart contracts. And any of you that have spent some time on Etherscan, you can probably feel that, right? You can take an address and then start navigating that graph and finding yourself in weird places. So I always thought that this is brilliant for funding public goods and using that data set, but unfortunately, so many years later, it seems that it's mostly companies related with on-chain analytics that are really leveraging that graph, and there's not much else happening, at least on that scale. So I've been thinking, can we go beyond that? Can we actually build something more meaningful that is leveraging this graph structure of Ethereum? So some of the projects that started, experimenting on that vein, started to appear. One of the more interesting projects that came out, I think 4 years ago, is called Circles. This is a project coming out of Berlin, Germany, which is also where I'm based in. And what Circles did was to take an old concept, which is this idea of a web of trust, right? That every human has a trusted group of peers effectively around them that they interact with, and then use that to disseminate information. And in the case of Circles UBI, actually they created an interesting mechanism where effectively they would incentivize connectedness. They were using personal tokens and a universal basic income in order for you to actually, reveal your social graph on chain. That's one way to think about this. And I think it was really the first application that tried to do something that was leveraging this networked view on Ethereum. Another project that really sparked some, basically like really inspired some of the work that we're doing with Drips was Mirror. So Mirror is a decentralized publishing platform. And in 2021, they, of course, had the ability for you to share content and then use decentralized storage for that. But then when NFTs started to take off, they also started enabling effectively auctions around NFTs. And one of the really simple things that they did that was very inspiring to me was to actually bring this graph structure, bring this at the forefront of the UI. So for any auction that was taking place, they had this view of what they called the split list effectively, where instead of you seeing only one address of who was the person behind that blog post effectively, they started having these lists where you can actually, like on-chain, specify, a group of people that potentially, was responsible for that specific piece of content, and a split configuration. So any proceeds that would be raised from funding that non-fungible token would be programmatically splitted with a bunch of different addresses. And it was one of the first applications that actually, leveraged this graph-based view and brought it at the forefront. It's the simplest structure, but what Mirror did was to actually bring it at the forefront of the user experience. So moving to some of the work that we've been doing with Drips, I always, kept thinking, can we use these on-chain graphs to fund digital public goods and specifically free and open source software? And the problem that I've been obsessing over the years is, I believe that is really illustrated by this meme. This is an internet meme that effectively what you see here is that you have all shiny modern digital infrastructure, and then, these little boxes are its dependencies. And then you see at some point that, your shiniest infrastructure actually depends on a single person somewhere, somewhere in the world that, is really in the night, try to keep the lights on and try to keep the software patched and, up and running. And I really feel that this is one of the biggest gaps that we have when we're thinking about funding public goods. There's a lot of experimentation, a lot of interesting things that are happening within the blockchain world with regards to funding public goods, a lot of interesting experiments with quadratic funding, a lot of interesting experiments with retroactive public goods funding. But I really feel that, solving this, finding a sustainable income for that one individual and making sure that our structures are actually stable is one of the open problems that we as a community need to solve. So when I realized that this is one of the things that we collectively need to solve, I started working on something that's called Drips. And Drips is a really simple idea, and it's a toolkit for effectively for you to fund your critical software dependencies. The way it works is the following. So at the core of the user experience, you have this list Anyone can create any on-chain list, effectively give it a title, and then these lists contain either Ethereum addresses or ENS names, and one of the innovations that we're bringing to the table, as you can see there, these are GitHub repos. So you actually have the possibility to construct a list. In this case, this is a list that my organization has created. We call them DRIPS dependencies, and then effectively start funding it, right? So what you see there is a bunch of different projects and an amount. And one of the interesting things that we're doing with DRIPS is that you have the possibility to either fund this as a one-off payment, a single donation, or actually stream into it. So you have this continuous flow of funding that is taking place. Now, if you look at the dependencies there, the third project is a really well-known project called ethers.js. This is one of the projects that most of the crypto projects actually depend on. And in our case, this person is receiving 13% of whatever funding is going into that list. And the interesting thing that we're doing with it is continuing to operate in that graph-based mindset. So the moment this maintainer actually gets to claim the funds, we ask them to do the exact same thing. We basically tell them like, hey, you have a bunch of income, come claim it. And then when you do that, specify who are the maintainers and who are your own critical software dependencies. And through that process, effectively a graph emerges, right? So you have these lists of lists. We funded Ethers.js, and then Ethers.js basically says that whatever comes to my wallet, 12% will be split with ENS normalized.js, ensuring effectively that funding will reach the lowest levels of the stack. Funding will reach this one single random person that is tirelessly maintaining a software package somewhere in the world. So yeah, and as I mentioned, you can do this as a one-off, you can do this as a continuous stream of funds, creating a sustainable form of income effectively for that. So yeah, so these are some applications, and I want to take the last part of my presentation to talk about what these on-chain graphs really enable for public goods funding. If you are an organization out there, what could you be doing with on-chain graphs? So the way I like to think about this is that blockchains and the applications that are emerging around blockchains enable new behaviors. And because economics is a behavioral science, as a result, they also enable new economics. Some of the ideas that I'm really passionate about are these. The first one is, I feel that we are about to see a lot of organizations, a lot of DAOs, and a lot of traditional organizations that are programmatically and transparently. I think this. Okay, we're back. Great. So I feel that we are about to see a lot of DAOs and a lot of traditional organizations programmatically linking their own profits with the public goods that they depend on. And again, Ethereum provides a brilliant infrastructure in order to do this. Luckily, we have already started seeing some of those examples. One of the most fascinating ones that a lot of people are talking about at the moment is coming from the Optimism Collective. The Optimism Collective, together with Vitalik Buterin, created this idea of retroactive public goods funding. And what they do is that they provide a layer 2 on Ethereum, right? And then the more demand there is for block space, that translates into revenue to their own sequencer. And what they do is now they actually start channeling some of that revenue back into RetroPGF that effectively funds a lot of public goods that are being created that further fuel the growth of the OP ecosystem, right? And I think up to date they have allocated, I think, something around $50 million, in fact. So significant amounts of funding, start into, are being put into this flywheel. Another great example that is taking place at the moment is something called Protocol Guild. And, oh, no worries. Can you hear me okay? Yes? Perfect. So another great example that is taking place at the moment of similar of the similar idea is coming from a project called Protocol Guild. Protocol Guild is a collection, is basically a group of Ethereum maintainers that got together and they realized that the incentives are not there for them to keep building the infrastructure for Ethereum. These are really, the low level stack behind what you all see as, the Ethereum network. And so what did these maintainers do? They basically said, like, what if we actually, curate a list of all of the different individuals that maintaining critical parts of the Ethereum infrastructure, and then we go around and we effectively ask for money. So what they've done is they went to DAOs like Lido or Uniswap, and they said, like, hey, you all benefit from our work. What if you actually start channeling some of that capital back to us? And that started taking place, and I was very excited about that. But then a few months ago, another very interesting thing happened, which was a traditional organization called VanEck, based in the US, that was actually working on an Ethereum ETF. They came out with an announcement that says that whatever profits they have, 10% of those profits from that Ethereum ETF will actually be put back into Protocol Guild. So effectively, they became the first traditional organization to actually programmatically channel some of their own profits into the Ethereum digital public goods. And that's very, very exciting. I really think that we're going to see a lot more organizations doing the exact same thing. So another thing that I believe that's now possible is a similar idea, but is slightly different. For the people in the room that you already operate in a DAO that has a governance token, I think you should all consider allocating a portion of your governance power, your decision-making power, into your own dependencies. We think that it's a really cool way for you to give voice to the people that actually enable your work, that make your work possible, and then slowly start introducing them to your own community. Finally, the last idea I have is that, hypercerts, you can absolutely use them, but you can of course use them in a more, 1 degree out type of way, but you can also use them in this more graphed way, where if your funding actually has a big impact in a low-level part of the stack, we can now acknowledge that with hypercerts. We can make that visible. We're having some technical difficulties, but I'm almost done. So yeah, that's pretty much that. If I can close with one idea, this is the one. We are all interdependent, and our success hinges upon the success of others. If your organization is interested in funding public goods, please come talk to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Elle, for bringing us this information presentation. 好，那非常感谢刚刚的讲者 Elle 给我们这么精实的简报。大家可以看到，我们台上呢已经稍微有些变化了，因为我们接下来下一场是炉边对谈。好，那冬天。圣诞节快到了，我们先假设这边有一个火炉，然后我们要来听这个非常精彩的对谈。So the next session we're having a fireside chat. Now may I introduce our two speakers, our two panelists for this fireside chat. First, the moderator of the session, 佑胜宝成 yeah, sorry. And then our fireside chat panelists. Now please welcome Robin Peckham. 那我们就把时间交给佑胜来主持这个 fireside chat。
好，有声音哦。那要先打个招呼。
早安。
好，那今天这个题目比较特别哦，我相信可能在这个2天的议程里面都是可能直接唯一跟艺术相关的部分哦。那今天的这个题目是有数位艺术生态系哦，所以其实不是实体物理空间的艺术，然后它也不是跟单一个作品、一个艺廊、一个艺术家有关，它是跟整个 ecosystem， 所以是一个很大的一个其实那个视野是很庞大的哦。那我想因为 Robin 他本来就是台北当代今年是第4届嘛。 对，他是台北当代的总监。那大家如果去过这样的一个展会的话，就知道里面可以看到艺术家、看到作品、看到艺廊，其实就是我们刚才讲的一个整个生态系。所以我想今天这个题目是非常适合Robin 来跟大家分享的。那我是宝成，我今天来这边，我只是 moderator， 我带领这个大家来听听看这个Robin 待会想要讲的东西。那我自己本身大概做了几年的这个剧场配乐，然后后来在书写表演艺术方面的评论，所以必须坦白讲，我并不是视觉艺术的研究者或很长期的欣赏者，我比较是在表演艺术的部分。那其实是因为区块链的关系，认识了 NFT， 我才慢慢的在这个数位原生的世界反而从这边开始回去看传统的视觉艺术，或进而去了解当代艺术所以我的背景大概是这个样子。那我想是不是先让Robin 也先自我介绍一下，然后我们待会再来进入我们的提问。
好，非常感谢今天的邀请。可以说我的背景就正好跟你相反的我就是从传统艺术、视觉艺术走到当代艺术。然后其实我从刚刚进入艺术圈的时候，就对数位艺术、对科技和艺术的关系非常感兴趣的。但可以说我们是到前几年有了这个 NFT 的热潮，才其实有借口把它带进来台北当代所做的展览。所以我自己的背景，我是策展人，我也参与这个艺术评论的写作。我是4、5年前搬来台湾，就开始做台北当代这个艺博会。然后要说实话，其实台北当代里面的艺术90%以上，95%以上吧，都和科技和数位文化毫无关系。但是我们其实很注重科技和艺术之间的这个互动。可以说，无论是传统艺术做题材，或者说是新锐的数位艺术的媒介，或者说是我们作为观众来接触到艺术的一些新的渠道，我觉得都是我们和科技之间的一些感兴趣的点子。近一点好，不好意思，声音很小。
我印象非常深刻，是去年在台北当代反而不是今年，是去年2022的时候，那 Robin 这个有邀请了3个，我相信在座各位都知道的非常有名的应该是艺术类的 NFT 平台他们分别是Ferrofile， 还有 Artblocks， 还有Outland。对，这3个
还有第4个是 Soil， 台湾的
Soil，sorry， 还有总共4个那个时候好像去年这4个是不是都是线上空间，并没有在现场有一个他们的摊位或什么这样子吗？是
其实有线下的存在感但是它是一个活动的形式，不是一个固定的展位。
对，所以去年我的印象就是非常深刻，等于是台北当代在一个实体的展会之外呢，我们是可以在线上看到其他的作品，所以其实就蛮好奇Robin 怎么会除了那个时候，当然我们知道是 NFT 的热潮，那什么时候那个时候为什么会想要推展这个艺术类 NFT 平台，然后放在这个台北当代里面，然后这件事情跟一个实体的展会之间他们的关系是什么？因为我们可能习惯看到摸到这个很具体的作品嘛，那我们如果今天作品你是在荧幕上，在手机的荧幕上看，那这个时候怎么样跟现场的collector 或者说策展人他们发生关系？然后大家怎么看待这个虚实之间的互动？就好奇 Robin 当初的你的动机是什么？
是，这个其实最重要的要提到这个 Launch Stage 我们 NFT 计划的发起人、负责人 Christopher Adams 就正好在场，可以跟大家打招呼。他其实为我们提供了一个非常好的技术的解决方案。因为 当时我们感兴趣的，对我来讲，创意就是创意，艺术家无论他用什么样的媒介，都应该有我们作为这种艺术的平台，给他一些呈现的方式。那正好，很多我们一直都关注的，可以说是网络艺术家，在前几年就开始做 NFT。然后我们最欣赏的这些，作为当代艺术圈里面的人，我们最欣赏的这些艺术家，他们正好都会集合在一些平台上面，比如说是 Feral File 应该是最常见的吧，然后我们就想可以怎么样和他们合作，然后艺术博览会我们最常合作的单位就是艺廊，就是画廊。画廊是代理艺术家，然后我们提供的空间，画廊就可以随便来用他最有经验的艺术家的作品摆放在那里做他自己的展览，所以我们就想，如果我们做线上的呈现的话，逻辑应该是一样的，所以我们邀请的并不是艺术家，而是这些可以说是线上的画廊，Feral Fire、Block、Soil 这些 Outland。所以Christopher 的想法就是每一个可以来到台北当代，然后做一个现场的发布，现场也是限时，那时候大家就很兴奋，就是会有一个新的 drop， 我们都会挤在 Feral File 就几点到几点，我们要上线抢这个新的作品，所以我们的想法就是我们把这种兴奋的感觉放在一个实体的房间里面，我们让 Feral File 的负责人跟我们一起上线，艺术家跟我们一起上线，然后他按发的时候，大家就可以在现场和他有一个现实的互动，这个正好就去年也是台湾还没有完全开放嘛，所以那时候很多外国嘉宾没有办法飞过来，所以这个是我们比较少数可以和国际的艺术圈有现实的这个互动，同时呢，我想。那年就22年，大家最兴奋的艺术的类别就是 NFT。我们作为一个艺术博览会，可能某一年是录像艺术，某一年是涂鸦艺术，其实都属于当代艺术这个大家庭吧，所以这个兴奋点在哪，我们都会把它带进来。
是，所以因为疫情的关系，然后线上又是一个零距离的嘛，就可以跨越国界这样子。对，那。大家也知道，现在的 NFT 的市场其实并没有去年这么的火热哦。但是也因为这样子，我们看到许多人继续留下来、继续 build 的时候，其实可以知道有些专案对这些人来说是玩真的哦。那我们回到这一个区块链的基础建设的层次哦，在去年的展会，这些 NFT 的平台它用到了这些区块链的技术。那你觉得，因为我们知道区块链它的这个公开透明性，或者是在链上这个账本，大家什么金流啊什么其实都看得到，所以你基本上一个 token 它是很好去溯源的。那有很多这种infrastructure 的层面被这些区块链的实践者不断的强调。那你觉得在这个NFT 的热潮过去之后，这一块基础建设？它的一些特色或强项，如何可以再继续跟艺术有关系？
这个我觉得要把就艺术的概念看得大一点吧，因为我觉得区块链这些技术，它为数位艺术提供了一些非常好的解决方案。我觉得我们都非常放心在像是 Feral File 这种平台上去收藏作品、买作品。就算是比较传统的前辈的视觉艺术这块的收藏家，他也可以放心的，就是第一次上 Feral File， 他知道他买的作品是有 provenance， 它背景是清晰的。但是我觉得很多人会希望这种区块链也可以用来解决整体艺术市场的一些 provenance 的问题，就是作品的来源。但对我来讲，这个是可能有点说不过去的，因为现在艺术市场的这个系统，虽然它可以说不是很完美的，它没有绝对的是或者不是，真或者假，但是大家有很多不同的研究和证明的方式。我们想去购买一件明代的书画，我觉得 就算他有进入过区块链的系统，然后可以证明他有在谁谁谁的手上，可能还真的不如一些学者可以回去，然后参考明代、清代、民国，一直到现在的一些历史的资料，因为艺术市场上90%以上的作品都是创作时间在我们有网络、有现代科技之前的年代，所以我觉得这个结合是非常困难的，基本上没有办法就是用科技来解决以前有的那些问题，但是我觉得非常正面可以看到的是，经过 NFT 的这个流程之后，现在艺术圈里面的收藏家是非常愿意收藏，非常愿意购买数位艺术。以前他们不会，以前是会觉得很紧张，一是觉得就复制太容易。然后如果作品在网上很多人可以看到，那我为什么要买？我为什么不直接去观赏它就够了？现在这个想法是有变化。我觉得区块链的确是有允许数位艺术走到这个当代艺术市场的主流当中。
所以应该特别是这种digital native 的作品，对不对？了解，因为据我所知，这个像是一些录像哦，或者说真的以前纯粹是 pixel 的这种作品，其实是很难出售、很难被收藏的嘛。那 NFT 其实是成为一个非常好的载体哦，特别是对这些数位艺术家来说，对不对？但是 Robin 刚刚还觉得说，这个数位的世界还有它的基础建设，它并不是一个就是说万灵丹，就是什么东西都可以解决。尤其是一些传统的书画哦，在网络出现之前很久很久以前做的这些东西，其实它并不一定是一定要跟区块链有关，对不对？那我们现在说回来哦，因为我们今天这2天的议程有一个很大的主题，其实是跟公共财有关。那大家应该也会对艺术作品有一些概念，就是我拥有一个作品，好像就是不能被别人拥有嘛。那它是一种独占性的，然后作品本身是比较稀缺的。可是公共财它其实是希望大家都可以去使用，都可以去接近。那公共财和艺术之间这两者似乎乍看之下好像有一些矛盾哦，一个就是都要占为己有，那另外一个要开放让大家来使用。那 Robin 会觉得这2个有没有什么冲突，或者是有没有什么艺术作品它其实有在处理这样的一个问题，然后让大家说，也许我来购买这样的一个艺术品，它其实可以间接的帮助公共财的确立。
这个其实我觉得艺术市场不是艺术的全部。这个可能是最重要的一个点啊，就是艺术品，单件的艺术品当然可以商品化啊，就是我们把它放在市场上，你卖给我，我买回来，我的确可以放起来，然后不让别人看到。但是艺术的创作本身，我觉得是属于社会、属于人类文明的。无论这个作品会不会就最后走到一些公家的美术馆、公家的单位里面，我觉得是无所谓的，因为它的创作、它的研究、它的学习，它整个艺术生态的对它的吸收的程度，无论作品在谁的手上，作品的存在应该是更重要的。那我觉得艺术家的实践也可以分成一些不同的方向。我有收集一些图片，但是这个顺序可能不会按照我们说的这些。但其中一个艺术可以做的事情就是装饰啊，艺术的确可以是一种产品，但这个可能是最无聊的、最没有意义的。二就是艺术可以有一种语言的功能，它可以做一种宣传的工具。艺术家有一个立场，然后他可能是喷涂鸦，可能是画画，就告诉你他的立场，它就变成了一个沟通的渠道。第三，我觉得艺术可以是一个实践，就是说它影响的不是别人，而是艺术家自己。它可能是一种修身，或者是梳理自己的想法的一种工具。然后最后，我想最亲近我们今天的题目，艺术可以是一种社会的介入。那真的会介入社会的艺术，我想在 21世纪应该是最重要的一种。艺术家有时候会用他做作品的方式，不只是鼓励别人来关注一些题目，这个是过去50年很常见的。他也会用他作品、用他的展览的方式来影响这种社会现实。有一些很好的例子，也正好现在我们看到的 Joseph Beuys 可能是最早的一个他在40年代战后德国，就是带一堆人在Kassel 这个城市里面种树，但那时候开始做这种就是大容量的种树，算是很明智的这可能是比较后期我们才会关注的一种行为。那会介入的艺术家的时间，我觉得他也不一定要远离市场。有时候艺术家会做一些版次的作品，像是卖海报，这样我们去买它，其实不是一个市场的行为，不是说我要买这个，我要投资这个艺术家，而是说我支持这个艺术家做的事情。所以这个资本就是从我们作为观众流到艺术家手上。那艺术家拿这个钱去做什么？我们可能习惯的想法就是他在工作室里面去画画，但是这个当然，如果艺术家是在做社会介入的话，他可能有完全不一样的想法。我觉得其中一个最好的例子，等一下可能会轮到是 Rick Lowe，他是一个美国的画家，他的绘画真的是非常漂亮，很抽象，然后很多人会愿意买，价格就是100万美元以上。他拿这个钱，然后他去做一些地产发展计划，他会到美国算是偏乡吧，就是比较贫穷的地区，他艺术家是黑人，他也会到一些黑人的社会群体当中盖房子，然后他重视的是美感，也是艺术家艺术结合生活方式，所以他也会请一些当代艺术家去为这些房子做装饰。但是他们的装饰不只是审美的这种，他也会请他们做一些有用的事情，比如说用艺术的方式，用所谓的关系美学 （relational aesthetics），让邻居之间加强关系。所以这个我觉得说不到 public good， 但是我觉得我们看到这个资本的流动，的确是跟我们过去对艺术的买卖是有一些不一样的。
是，好，那因为时间有限了，我们小小做一个总结，就是艺术家虽然好像我们一般刻板印象的创作，好像就是一个物件，然后被收藏起来、买起来，但是其实艺术家的灵感绝对不可能只是从他个人冒出来，他是立基在整个社会文化当中，他是从这边获得养分的嘛。就是他一开始其实就暴露在一个公开的环境底下，那他的作品其实我们刚才听到 Robin 介绍的这些东西，这些作品也绝对不是只有只能就是被自己单一个人收藏，它其实是可以有公开的摆设，然后公开的影响别人对这个作品的购买，也可能不是纯粹的审美或投资，它是有认同它背后的理念，然后艺术家拿到有这样的一个收入的时候，他也可以去做更多跟社会公益相关的事情。好，那我们就因为时间有限，就先讲到这边。那我们是不是谢谢 Robin？
谢谢，非常感谢
大家，也谢谢大家。
谢谢 Robin， 另外呢，也非常谢谢宝成为我们主持今天的炉边座谈。相信大家都从刚刚的对话当中得到了非常丰富的心得。那接下来呢，我们还有一场简报，我们的下一位讲者是 Christopher Tan， 请大家和我一起以热烈的掌声欢迎我们的下一位讲者 Christopher。Christopher 要跟我们谈的是 Road to Future Proofing Ethereum。
Check. Nice. All right, there we go. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. Super excited to be here with you all. My name is Chris. I'm the head of partnerships at BTQ, and super excited to be chatting today about the road to future-proofing Ethereum, specifically from quantum computers. So the outline for today will be first, what are quantum computers? A very natural first question. 2, are our private keys safe? And unfortunately, they are not. And so looking at post-quantum cryptography as a way to reclaim the safety of our private keys. Then looking at some of the challenges that come about with post-quantum cryptography. And then looking at, one of the ways that our team is looking at navigating this post-quantum cryptographic landscape. So the TLDR, if you were just to fall asleep right now, totally don't blame you, but the TLDR is that quantum computers threaten the cryptography underpinning our blockchains. And because of that, we need to look at replacing a lot of the cryptographic primitives. This isn't easy, and a lot of challenges come about, and we'll discuss some of those challenges here in this presentation. So first, what are quantum computers? So without being too verbose, these are computers that operate on what are called qubits, and these qubits, they resemble our bits, our binary bits that we use today, except they're able to be held in a superposition of states, which means that they can hold 0 and 1 at the same time. Furthermore, one or more qubits can also be entangled, which means that their behaviors correlate with one another. And so when you take these two properties together, superposition and entanglement, this allows several qubits to miraculously somehow collapse to the correct state in order to solve problems much faster than the computers that we have right now, exponentially faster for certain problems which are particularly salient to blockchains. So some key trends in quantum computing, it's been rapidly accelerating over the past few years. In 2023, there was over $2 billion of private investments into quantum computing and over $34 billion of government funding for quantum computers. So this really shows how top of mind this problem is for top level government officials. Also, unfortunately, the number one disruptive use case for blockchains is breaking the public key cryptography underpinning the security of our private keys. So let's go into how that happens. So as you may or may not know, every account on a blockchain is represented by a pair of private and public keys. The private key is what holds all of your crypto, all of your Ethereum, Bitcoin, Doge, whatever it may be. And your public key is used to verify that transactions came from you. So by definition, the public key is public to everybody on the network. And the way that public key cryptography is supposed to work, or this relationship is supposed to work, is that you're not supposed to be able to derive a private key from a public key. And this is implemented through the use of, as of right now, elliptic curves, where you have one point on the elliptic curve is your private key, the other one is your public key, and you aren't supposed to be able to move the other direction from the public key. Unfortunately, elliptic curves and the more general class of pairing-based cryptography depends on the difficulty of the discrete logarithm problem, for which there exists an efficient quantum algorithm called Shor's algorithm. So using Shor's algorithm, a quantum adversary will be able to take anyone's public key. So as soon as you make a transaction, and you write it to the blockchain, your public key is exposed, and they'll be able to derive your private key. So this is an existential threat. So how do we solve this? How do we reclaim the safety of our private keys? To this, we'll look to the computational complexity zoo, and here we're looking at the mathematical problems that we can rely on as being difficult in order to secure this one-way street. In order to secure being able to move from our private key to our public key, but not the other way around. The problems that we've chosen right now are the discrete logarithm problem, which underpins elliptic curve digital signature algorithms, and integer factorization, which underpins the SHA family of hash functions, so SHA 1, 2, and 3, and that's using Bitcoin hashing, for example. And unfortunately, those problems lie in the complexity class of BQP, which is the class of efficiently solvable problems by quantum computers. So what we need to do is replace these problems in our crypto systems with problems that fall outside the class of BQP. And this is where we find post-quantum cryptography. So let's just remove all the kind of complexities and just imagine that we throw in post-quantum cryptography into our public key crypto systems. Now we're good. Now we're able to have our private and public keys without having a quantum adversary be able to derive our private key from public. Except there's a huge trade-off when it comes to increasing security. Namely, the public key sizes and the signature sizes of these post-quantum digital signature algorithms are much larger than the pre-quantum version of what we use today. So on the left, we have ECDSA. This is the elliptic curve digital signature algorithm, which is used in Ethereum and most blockchains. And then the three algorithms on the right are the three NIST standardized post-quantum algorithms. And the NIST is the National Institute of Standards and Technology out of the US. It's the US government standardizations body. And so these are the algorithms that they've standardized, and we can see that immediately there's a huge increase in public key size and signature sizes over ECDSA. And particularly salient to blockchains is our signatures. And this is because every time we make a transaction, we sign it with our private key and then publish it to the blockchain. So every transaction is accompanied by a signature. And if we look at the smallest NIST standardized algorithm, Falcon, we can see that there's a 10-fold increase in the signature size. So ECDSA has, is 66 bytes for their signature, and then Falcon signatures are 666. So it's a 10-fold increase. And what this does is it makes block space even more precious, if you can believe that. Block space is going to become even more limited and even more rare. What this means is that you can fit fewer transactions into a block, which means that this drives up latencies for transactions because you have fewer transactions in a block, and then also makes it more expensive. This drives up gas fees. And so this was reflected in a in a study conducted by the Bank of International Settlements, the BIS, the central bank of all central banks, where they looked at what is the impact of quantum safe cryptography on blockchain implementations. And what they immediately found was that the duration of end-to-end payments went up 5-fold, and the throughput suffered from 2 orders of magnitude decrease in performance, going down 2,000 times for transactions per second. And so again, this is related to the problem of the increase in size of these post-quantum algorithms. So we've been here before. We've faced blockchain scaling, especially in Ethereum through ZK snarks, and so you might think, why can't we just apply the same thing? So let's try to do that. Let's take a look at how we can build some snarks, and just to keep it relatively high level, there are 2 kind of general families of way to design snarks. On the left, you have snarks that are built from the combination of a polynomial IOP, interactive oracle proof, plus a polynomial commitment scheme. And then on the right, you have proofs that are built from linear probabilistically checkable proofs, plus some sort of pairing-based cryptography. Pairing-based cryptography is implemented over elliptic curves, which relies on the difficulty of the discrete logarithm problem, which is no good. So we can cancel out the entire right-hand side of this graph. So cross 16, no good. If we take a look at the left side, we'll have to evaluate, okay, so we're using polynomial IOPs plus these polynomial commitment schemes. Well, the quantum attack vectors are really in these polynomial commitment schemes. So from there, we have the options of doing IOP-based, discrete log-based, and then pairing-based. And again, both discrete log and pairing-based rely on the difficulty of the discrete logarithm problem, which are no good. So what we're left with is a much smaller snark design space. So we can't use all of the tools that we had previously used in order to scale Ethereum and other blockchains. What we're left with is just polynomial IOPs plus a very small category of IOP-based polynomial commitment schemes in order to build our snarks. And so this suggests that it is possible, but it's just a little bit more difficult. And we need to be careful about how we construct our cryptographic primitives for blockchains in order to be quantum resistant. And this is the work that our team has been doing for the past 2.5 years. We've been looking at how do we implement post-quantum cryptography in blockchains, but then also how do we scale them appropriately using the correct cryptographic algorithms. And this is what we're doing in conjunction with Funding the Commons. We're open sourcing a lot of the libraries that we've built in order to enable developers to build EVM compatible infrastructure that is also quantum safe. So the takeaway message is that quantum resistance is possible. We just need to build it together and hopefully out in the open. And this is our QR code for our artisan match fund for our application to Funding the Commons. If you have any questions or just want to chat about quantum resistance and cryptography and anything really, I'm happy to talk about it. So yeah, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. 我们非常谢谢今天上午的最后一位讲者 Christopher Tan。那接下来呢就是午餐时间了。So this concludes the morning session of our first day, and then we're having a lunch break. And right now I'm going to introduce you something that we're really proud of in Taiwan. So you're going to have your lunch boxes later, and after lunch, please recycle the boxes. We have a system laid out over there. So just want you to know that we have to recycle all of the boxes. Don't just dump them in the trash can. 好，那接下来呢就是午餐时间了。在这边呢，我们要做一个优良示范给我们的国际友人看。在台湾，垃圾分类行之多年，而且大家呢也非常的上手。所以等一下呢，大家可以到我的右手边、你们的左手边去拿今天的餐盒。那在餐盒用完之后，我们的工作人员会摆出一个资源回收的流水线。那希望大家可以做一个良好的示范，让大家知道我们在台湾资源回收有多么的成功，垃圾分类做得有多好。那 enjoy the lunch. We'll see you in the afternoon. 好，大家请享用你们的午餐。那我们下午见喽。